ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासां ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिके। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमो नलिननेत्राय वेणुवाद्यविनोदिने राधाधरसुधापानशालिने वनमालिने महाभावस्वरूपस्त्वं कृष्णप्रियवर्यसि प्रेमभक्तिप्रदे देवी श्रीराधिका त्वं नमोऽस्तुते। अददनस्य दृढं ध्रन्ते हृदं याच पुनः पुनः श्रीमद्रूपपदां भोजोधुलिस्यात्मजम्। So we'll continue from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4 and text number 20. So as Shukadeva Goswami is glorifying their Lordship, in previous verse we have seen that why he says specifically he is worshipping or offering his obeisances to the Lord. Because Lord is Atma Atmeshwara. Atmavit Atmeshwara, the people who knows or who are into the path of self-realization, Lord is worshipable by them. He is soul of them. That means He is everything. And in this prayer, in this text number 20, he explains he is a Pati. Pati, the Sanskrit word, has a meaning that one, pa iti saha, means who protects. It's not only he is the controller or creator or who holds everything, but he is the one who protects everyone. And that's why he is the leader. So he says in this verse, Shriyapatir yajnapatir prajapatir dhiyapatir lokapatir dharapati pati gatir chandaka vrishni satvata prasidatam me bhagavan satam pati. He says here, may Lord Sri Krishna, who is the worshipable Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all the kings like Andhaka and Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty, the husband of all goddess of fortune, the directors of all sacrifices, and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, that is, the supreme all in all. Be merciful upon me. Purport by His Loving Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Since Shukadeva Goswami is one of the prominent Gata Velikas who are freed from all misconceptions, he therefore expresses his own realized perception of Lord Sri Krishna as being the sum total of all perfection, the personality of a Godhead. Everyone is seeking the favor of the goddess of fortune. But people do not know that Lord Sri Krishna is the beloved husband of all goddesses of fortune. In the Brahma Samhita it is stated, it's said that the Lord in his transcendental abode Goloka Vrindavan is accustomed to herding the Surabhi cows and is served there by the hundreds of thousands of goddesses of fortune. All these goddesses of fortune are manifestations of his transcendental pleasure potency, that is Ladini Shakti. In his internal energy, and when the Lord manifested himself on this earth, he partially displayed the activities of his pleasure potency in his Rasa Leela, just to attract the conditioned souls who are all after the phantasmagoria pleasure potency in degraded sex enjoyment. The pure devotees of the Lord, like Shukadeva Goswami, who was completely detached from the abominable sex life of the material world, discussed this act of the Lord's pleasure potency, certainly not in relation to sex, but to relish a transcendental taste inconceivable to the mundaners who are after sex life. Sex life in the mundane world is the root cause of being conditioned by the shackles of illusion. And certainly Shukadeva Goswami was never interested in the sex life of the mundane world. Nor does the manifestation of the Lord's pleasure potency have any connection with such degraded things. Lord Chaitanya was a strict sannyasi, so much so that he did not allow any woman to come near him, not even to bow down and offer respects. He never even heard the prayers of the Devadasis offered in the temple of Jagannath, because as a sannyasi he is forbidden to hear songs sung by the fair sex. Yet, even in the rigid position of a sannyasi, he recommended the mode of worship preferred by the gopis of Vrindavan as the topmost loving service possible to render to the Lord, to be rendered to the Lord. And Srimati Radharani is the principal head of all such goddesses of fortune, and therefore she is the pleasure counterpart of the Lord and is non-different from Krishna. So in this first para, Prabhupada is explaining about Shriyapatihi. Shri, the word itself, has a different meanings. Shri means beauty, Shri means opulences, and here Shri means Mother Lakshmi, goddesses of fortune. As per the Vedic civilization, anyone who wants dhana dhanya pashu vriddhir, what he should do? He should worship goddess of fortune. But Prabhupada explains here that Lord Krishna, he is a Shriyapati. He is the husband of goddess of fortune. And what sort of a husband? Not like a today's husband, a handpuck husband. No. He is the real controller of his counterpart, his wife. As explained in Brahma Samhita, Prabhupada quotes from there. What he does there? Venum Panantam Arvinda Dalayatакsham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundaramgam Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesho. He is the one most beautiful person whom even Kandarpa gets attracted. Kandarpa means Cupid. He gets attracted to him. And Shri means beauty, and the personification of beauty is Mother Lakshmi. And what she does there, can you imagine? Lord is tending cows while playing his flute. That means he is enjoying that. And what does Mother Lakshmi do there? Lakshmi Shatasambrava Sevyamano. Mother Lakshmi, goddesses of fortune, she takes delight to render service to the Lord. So Lord is the husband of goddess of fortune. So anybody who has a desire really to become a wealthiest person in this world, so then what he should do? He should get connected to the person who is most wealthiest. And that is Lord himself. Because thousands of Lakshmis are rendering service to him. So who is more opulent than him? When the Pati word comes in the mind, then people they think about the conjugal relationship between the husband and wife. And they try to degrade the Lord's activity to the mundane realm, the activities of the common man and common women, or common husband and wife. And to explain that, Prabhupada has said that, see, whatever Lord has done, he has not done out of sexual urge. When he performed that Rasa Leela, what was his age? When did it was performed?
8 or 10. 8 years old. How old?
Huh? He was 7 years old. Just think what kind of a mental desire or condition that the small boy of 7 years is having. Will he be a sexually oriented? Logically, if you want to understand that also, it's not possible. And on top of that, if you consider also, okay, he has done that rasada with the gopis, but who are they? As Prabhupada explains here, they are none other than the manifestation of his transcendental pleasure potencies, that is Ladini Shakti. So they are his own potencies. And being a potent person, a Purusha, he is the one who has all rights to enjoy the Prakriti. Okay, so that enjoyment, don't drag it on the mundane level, because the discussion about this particular pastime is done by whom? Who has explained that here in Srimad Bhagavatam? Shukadeva Goswami. And Prabhupada in the first line he clears that. Who is Shukadeva Goswami? He is a Gatavakilas, means who is out of the misconceptions, who is freed from total misconception of this material world, who is Atma Rama, who is self-satisfied, Muni. Muni means who is well known of the Vedic scriptures. That person is discussing about these pastimes, who is freed from the mundane sex desire. Not only that, again he put forwards that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has given example that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even he never used to see the wooden form of a woman. He never used to call as a Sri, he used to call them as a Prakriti. And as here explained that he never heard the glorification of Lord sung by the Devadasis, because he was such a rigid sannyasi, he was following all the rules and regulations of sannyasi. But most of the time of his final pastimes, he spent in hearing about the wonderful pastimes between gopis and Lord Krishna. On top of that, what is the next thing? He himself says that the most adorable, most wonderful and the topmost way of worshipping Lord is the way and the process that has adopted by the gopis and especially Srimati Radharani. So do you think the Lord is like a mundane pati, husband? Not at all. He is a Shriyapati. He is the husband of goddess of fortune. Then in the next para, Prabhupada he discusses about Yagyapati. He says that in the Vedic rituals, there are recommendations for performing different types of sacrifice in order to achieve the greatest benefit in life. Such a benedictions as the result of performing great sacrifice are, after all, favors given by the goddess of fortune and the Lord, being the husband of lover of goddess of fortune, is factually the lord of all sacrifices also. He is the final enjoyer of all kinds of yajna. Therefore, Yajnapati is another name of Lord Vishnu. It is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita that everything be done for the Yajnapati. Yajnartha karmanyaha. For otherwise, one's act will be the cause of conditioning by the law of material nature. Those who are not freed from all misconception, Velikam, perform sacrifices to please the minor demigods, but the devotees of the Lord know very well that Lord Sri Krishna is the supreme enjoyer of all performances of sacrifice. Therefore they perform the Sankirtana Yajna, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho, which is especially recommended in this age of Akali. In Kali Yuga, performance of other types of sacrifice is not feasible due to insufficient arrangement and inexpert priesthood. So it's clear here that Yajna means Lord Himself. Amongst the Manvantara avatars, one of the avatars of the Lord and the predominating incarnation in the age of Treta is Yajna, Lord Himself. And the process to approach the Lord in the age of Treta is none other than performing sacrifices. But in this age of Kali, it's not possible to perform all these Vedic sacrifices. That's why Agamas has given. So you can follow the Agama method to worship the Lord and perform sacrifices. But Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the topmost pramana, evidence, what it declares, in the age of Akali, one should approach the Lord through Sankirtana Yajna. So what is the Sankirtana Yajna? That is explained in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam by Prahlad Maharaj. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Arjanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam. This Navavida Bhakti is the real sacrifice by which you can please the Lordship in all the ages, but specifically in the age of Akali, by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this type of a sacrifice, and who will accept that? Navayogendras, they say, Yajantiya Sumedhasa. The person who is having Sumedha. Sumedha means? Good intelligence. The people with a good intelligence, they will accept this Sankirtana movement. Then further Prabhupada says, we have information from Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, text number 10 and 11, that Lord Brahma, after giving rebirth to the conditioned souls within the universe, instructed them to perform sacrifice and to lead a prosperous life. See, one particular word Prabhupada has used it here. Lord Brahma, after giving rebirth to the conditioned souls. As we are discussing in Brahma Samhita, the position of a Brahma. So Brahma is like a Sammantaka jewel, through which, which one is that? Suryakanta Mani, or magnifier. What do you call that? Which glasses? Magnifying glass, no. Prism, not prism. That we use it for burning paper. Magnifier is generally used for reading. Same thing we can. Bahirgol or Antarvakra Bhinga, that we call. So, like that. Lord empowers that and then it works. So same way, Brahma never creates jivas or never gives them birth, but he gives them the rebirth according to karma. Karmana daiva netrena janturdeha prapatyate. The living entity gets his body according to the karma that he has done in the previous life. And who? Daiva Yogena. What is that Daiva? That is Brahma. With the help of a Brahma, they get that body because Brahma decides, oh, this person has done this karma, so let him have this particular body. All these bodies are there, they never get destroyed actually. Ultimately they go and get it into Mahavishnu's pores. But whenever certain kind of a karma has to be suffered, then this particular body is given to different jiva. This kalpa I may be in this body. Next kalpa some other jiva will be in this body. According to his credit of the karma that he has done in his previous life. So Brahma gives rebirth to the conditioned souls. And he instructs them. Sahayajna praja sruštva purovacha prajapati. When he created this praja, the living entities, then he asked them to perform sacrifice. And in the Bhagavad Gita, 17th chapter, Lord says that Yajna dana tapakarma pavanani manishanaha. What purifies us, especially for the human beings? First is yajna, second is dana, donation, and third is yajna dana tapa, austerity. That purifies your existence. So, Lord says, never give up these things. So what is the yajna for this age? Sankirtan yajna. So if you really want to please Lord by performing sacrifice, then perform the sacrifice of holy name. Sankirtan yajna. Dana. If you want to give charity, Bhagavad Gita explains whom should be given and what charity means. See, as per the Vedic text, they called it as Dana Dharma. If you do according to the religious practices, then it is called as a Dana Dharma. Or otherwise it is just called as a Dana. Karna was famous for his Dana, not for a Dana Dharma. That need to be understood. Because these so-called history writers and scholars, they propagate that Karna, they blow up, they magnify his character and they put forward that Karna was the greatest person. He did dana, but for his satisfaction. Because he wanted to maintain that his pride that nobody can go empty-handed from his house. I give everyone. So he was giving, but for his own pride, not as a dharma. Giving with a dharma means, according to the religious way, you should donate it. And Bhagavad Gita has explained there are three kinds of charities. Charity in the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. So what is in the mode of passion? Yeah, like fame, recognition, wanted to have their name on the main entrance door, that this person has given this. For the name and fame, if you do that charity, that is in the mode of passion. That's what Karna has done. Charity in the mode of ignorance, what's the example for that? Generally, you donate something to wrong people. Like giving money to the beggars actually, that is wrong. Because you don't know how they are going to utilize that money and for what reason. Because whatever you give and whomever you give it to and whatever they do with that, you are going to get the results of their karma. 1/6 of their karma you are going to get it. If you give some homeless some dollar, he goes and he drinks and he does some abominable thing, you are responsible for that karma because you gave money and he did that. So one has to be very careful when you donate. And that's why Bhagavad Gita says the dana in the mode of goodness means giving to the right person at the right time. Because Shastra says you can give donation to only 2 people. One is sannyasi and second is brahmana. Why? Because they have a potency to burn your karma. How honestly you may have earned money, but whenever you get wealth, there are 15 anarthas they come along with that. It's explained in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavati, 11, 15, 19 or 17th verse. It clearly explains about what happens if you earn money or earn money through honest ways, but still it brings 15 anarthas. So if you earn that money with dishonesty, what are you going to get? And scripture says, dhanam shuddhyate danani. If you donate for the right cause to the right person, then your wealth gets purified. Even in the 10th canto, I think it's 80 chapter, there Lord explains how things get purified. Water gets purified by time. Minds get purified by reading scriptures. Existence get purified by having good food, pure food offered to the Lord. And wealth gets purified by donations. But you should know whom to donate. Because Brahmanas, they are nishkama. Even the Brahmana who has sakama vritti, if you donate him also, you have to suffer. So if you want to donate, donate to the person who is totally nispruha, who never desires anything from you. Like when Maharaj Yudhishthir, he wanted to perform a Rajasuya sacrifice. That time Lord Krishna and Arjuna, they went on the northern direction towards the Himalayas. And while going, they saw like heaps of golds, gold vessels, utensils, jewelry, valuable gems, everything was just scattered all around the path. And Arjuna was surprised. Arjuna said, what is this? Then Lord Krishna told him that in the age of Treta, when kings, they used to perform sacrifices, performing sacrifices meant donations, giving them donation. Mataji, give them prasad packets from altar. Just wait. Excuse me. Wait. So, what I was saying? Yeah, and they gave in such a quantity, and Brahmanas were so qualified, and they were nispruha, that they thought that carrying such a gold and gems, they said it's not useful for us, what to do? Then they just thrown on the way while going to their ashrams. They never carried all the things to their ashram. And that's what the sticks of gold, utensils and everything was lying around. If you give donation to such a Brahmana, then that dhana gets purified. Or sannyasis. Sannyasi means the person who has given up everything, and who has given up everything for the service of the Lord. So whatever you give it to him, he will use in the service of the Lord. So anything that you donate for the service of the Lord, that purifies the wealth. And that's why in the Bhagavad Gita it said that one should not give up yajna, dana and tapa. Tapa means austerity. Bhoga. Bhog laga. So, thing is that one should perform austerities. What is the biggest austerity in this age of a Kali? Visiting temples. We have a lot of times to roam around the malls, Home Depots, Walmarts. You have a lot of time to spend there. But when you go to the temple, what happens? Within 2 minutes or 3 minutes, you want to run away from that place. Voluntarily, you want to leave that place. Why? Because that is austerity. To be in the place which is surcharged with the mode of a goodness, we are not able to adjust ourselves because we are so much degraded in the mode of passion and ignorance that we not able to sit for a long time in a temple. To be with the devotees, to hear about the Lord, that is greatest austerity. especially in this age of Akali, to hear about the Lord, to discuss about the Lord, to go and see the Lord. In the Dwapar Yuga, 6 times a day people used to go to temple. They used to visit temple to have darshan of the Lord. Now, once in a 6 days also is a big thing. If someone goes, they think that, we know we are very religious, we go once in a week to the temple. That is the pathetic condition of age of Akali. That is the greatest austerity. So one should not give up that one should visit. Because when you go there, you will get surcharged with the positive energy that will help you to lead a wonderful and peaceful life, that will bring you back to the Lord. So further Prabhupada says, with such a sacrificial performances, the conditioned soul will never be in difficulty in keeping body and soul together. Ultimately, they can purify their existence. They will find natural promotion into the spiritual existence. The real identity of the living being, a conditioned soul, should never give up the practice of sacrifice, charity and austerity in any circumstances. The aim of all such sacrifices is to please the Yajnapati, the personality of a Godhead. Therefore, the Lord is also Prajapati. According to the Kathopanishad, the one Lord is the leader of innumerable living entities. Eko bahunam yo vidadhati kama. He is the one who fulfills each and everyone's desire. Even though he is a one, but he has a potency to give everything and anything each and every living entity desires. Because he is there in everyone's heart as a Paramatma, Super Soul. The Lord is therefore called Supreme Bhuta Bhrataha, or maintainer of all living beings. So in this second paragraph, Prabhupada explains about 2 things. One is Yajnapati and second is Prajapati. The Lord is the origin of all the living entities and he maintains them, and he is Lord of the sacrifice. In the next para, Prabhupada is explaining about living beings are proportionately endowed with the intelligence. Now he is speaking about Dhyapati. Dhya means intelligence and Pati means the leader or the protector or the giver or the controller. So who is Dhyapati? Who controls everyone's intelligence? That has explained in the next para. Living beings are proportionately endowed with the intelligence in terms of their previous activities. So whatever you have done in your previous life, according to that you have developed your intelligence. It's not that because everyone got a BTech degree, so everyone has a same intelligence. Does that happen? You must have done your BTechs or maybe masters. But everyone who holds that degree, not necessary that they will have the same intelligence. Because it is proportionate to karma that you have done in your previous life. All living beings are not equally endowed with the same quality of intelligence, because behind such a development of intelligence is the control of the Lord. So how he controls that? If you read Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, there it is explained that Lord says that Mattaha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. From him comes the forgetfulness and remembrance. And that is the function of intelligence actually. Intelligence is used for that. To remember something and to forget something. But who controls that? Lord said it comes from me. So he is the controller of that thing. As a Paramatma, Super Soul, the Lord is living in everyone's heart, and from him only does one's power of remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness follow. Mattaha smritir jnanam apohanam cha. One person can sharply remember past activities by the grace of the Lord, while others cannot. One is highly intelligent by the grace of Lord, and one is fool by the same control. Therefore, the Lord is Dhyampati, or the Lord of Intelligence. See, very wonderfully, Prabhupada is explaining each and every word that is used by Shukadeva Goswami. First he has explained about Shriyapatir, why Lord is the husband of goddesses of fortune. Then he explained about Yajnapatir, how he is the Lord of the sacrifices. Then he explained about the Prajapati, how he is the maintainer of all the living entities. And now he is explaining about Dhyampati, how he is the controller of everyone's intelligence. In the next para, Prabhupada says, the conditioned soul strives to become Lord of the material world. Everyone is trying to lord it over the material nature. The conditioned soul strives to become the lord of the material world. Everyone is trying to lord it over the material nature by applying his highest degree of intelligence. This misuse of intelligence by the conditioned soul is called madness. And that's what we see. Like the things going on right now, that one world order. Have you heard about that? You don't know? You should know. Because this is the biggest conspiracy is going on all around. They wanted to control each and every person, their income, their life itself, all around the world. And for that they are trying all the ways. What is this? Mobile. Your each and every conversation is controlled by someone. Do you know about that? You are from IT industry, you know. Anyone can hack your whole system, whole data, and they can, the whole Facebook, Google, WhatsApp, what they do? They steal away your data and sell it to someone else. You are like a, what they call, customer. It's not that you are a user, but they are using you actually for their benefit. So, they are misusing their intelligence to control each and everything in this world. But are they able to do this? They are trying hard. For last 2 centuries they are working on this. Most of the world banks or most of the national banks, according to the each and every nations, they are controlled by them. They decide what loan, whom to give, what to give. And they are controlling your life. They are misusing their intelligence for their enjoyment. And that's what we are also trying to do. We use our intelligence to get done our things from others. It's not that, like previously people used to perform their activities so that others can get benefited. But what is our motive today? Even you talk to someone also, you try to talk to them only from whom you are going to get benefited. It's not that you are going to give some benefit to him. This is what happens everywhere. Are we on the same page? So this is what's happening, you know. The misuse of God-given gift, that is intelligence. One's full intelligence should be applied to get free from the material clutches. But the conditioned soul, due to madness only, engages his full energy and intelligence in sense gratification. And to achieve this end of a life, he willfully commits all sorts of misdeeds. And that we see. How they can hack your system and take out your data, your bank balance, everything gets swiped away. That is misuse of intelligence. The result is that instead of attaining an unconditional life of a full freedom, the mad conditioned soul is entangled again and again in different types of bondage in the material bodies. Everything we see in the material manifestation is but the creation of the Lord. Therefore, He is the real proprietor of everything in the universes. The conditioned soul can enjoy a fragment of this material creation under the control of the Lord, but not self-sufficiently. That is the instruction in the Ishopanishad. One should be satisfied with the things awarded by the Lord of the universe. It is out of madness only one tries to encroach upon others' share of material possessions. In Ishopanishad, the first verse goes, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kinchim jagatyan jagat tena tyaktena bunjita ma gridha kasya svidhanam. Generally, we don't know whom it belongs to, and we try to get that things. See, once we are conceived in mother's womb, 5 things are destined. They are not going to change for you. Your life, ayu, karma, your activities, vitta, the wealth that you are going to get, jnana, knowledge, and death. These 5 things are fixed once you got conceived. Which family you are going to take birth? Once you are conceived, it is fixed that you are going to take birth in that particular family. There is no choice for you there. Then, what sort of a knowledge you are going to get? That is also fixed. This particular body will have this kind of a knowledge only. You are limited for that. Dhana or vitta. You may endeavor. You may run pillar to post, but you are going to get what you are destined only. Not less than that, not more than that. Not a single penny less, not a single penny extra from that, what you are destined. And still, because of ignorance, what we want to do? We want to lord over the things that we survey. We want to control each and everything, but that's not possible. Because everyone has his own fixed quota, and you are not going to get less than that and more than that. And that's why the intelligent person, how he lives his life, how he becomes peaceful, he knows, Ishavasyam idam sarvam. It belongs to Lord, everything is His, and whatever my quota, I am going to get it. With that consciousness, he remains self-satisfied, he remains peaceful. And that's why even the wealthiest people, they go to the church or they go to the temple and they meet the saintly persons. Why? For what reason they go to them? Because there they find the peace of mind. Money never gives you peace of mind. It gives pieces of your mind actually. Huh? So they go to the people who have gave that up. And why they gave it up? Because they know Ishavasyam idam sarvam, everything belongs to the Lord. And whatever is mine, that only meant for my enjoyment. They believe in that, they live in that way, so they are happy. So one has to understand this. And if you don't, then you try to acquire someone else's share, which you are not going to get it, and that makes you suffer in this world. So if you want to be happy, the key of that happiness is be satisfied. Whatever you have. And use your time and energy for the service of the Lord. In the next para, Prabhupada says, the Lord of the universe, out of His causeless mercy, upon the conditioned souls, descends by His own energy, that is Atma Maya, to re-establish the eternal relation of the conditioned soul with Him. He instructs all to surrender unto Him instead of falsely claiming to be enjoyers for a certain limit under His control. When He so descends, He proves how much greater is His ability to enjoy, and He exhibits His powers to enjoyment by, for instance, marrying 16,000 wives at once. The conditioned soul is very proud of becoming the husband of even one wife, but the Lord laughs at this. The intelligent man can know who is the real husband. Factually, the Lord is the husband of all the women in His creation, but a conditioned soul under the control of the Lord feels proud to be the husband of one or two wives. So here again, he has explained the position of the Lord. He is a Pati. He is Pati of whole universe. Dharampati. Dhara means in one way earth and the other way it's the whole universe. Dhara means who holds. So this Mother Earth, she holds each and every one of us. And who is holding her? Lord Varaha on his tusk, Lord Kurma on his back. So Lord himself, he is holding everything. And that's why he is the real enjoyer, not us. We have our own limited things. And Lord says that if you want to enjoy that things, you are not going to get the satisfaction, but you suffer. So better way to really get peaceful life than, what is that? What's the last verse of 5th chapter? Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surudam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim racheri. The person who understands that, Bhokta, the enjoyer, sarvaloka maheshwaram, enjoyer of each and everything in this universe is Lord. And not only enjoyer, but he is best friend of yours also. Whether you take birth in the as a insect in the cow dung, or you may be a Indra, the king of heaven. He resides in everyone's heart. He never gives you up. How lower you may go, he is always there with you in your heart. But our problem is that we never look at him. So he is a Surudam Sarva Bhutana. And who knows this, Shantim Rachati, he gets the peace. He gets the peace in the life. So we need to understand this. It's very important. Then Prabhupada further he says all these qualifications as the different types of Pati mentioned in this verse are meant for Lord Sri Krishna. And Shukadeva Goswami has therefore especially mentioned the Pati and Gati of the Yadu dynasty. The members of Yadu dynasty knew that Lord Sri Krishna is everything, and all of them intended to return to the Lord Krishna after he had finished his transcendental pastimes on the earth. The Yadu dynasty was annihilated by the will of the Lord because its members had to return home with the Lord. The annihilation of the Yadu dynasty was a material show created by the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, the Lord and the members of Yadu dynasty are all eternal associates. The Lord is therefore the guide of all devotees, and as such, Shukadeva Goswami offered him due respect with love-laden feelings. So the verse again, going back to the original verse here. Shriyapatir yajnapati prajapatir dhiyampatir lokapatir dharapati patir gatishchandaka vrishni sattvatam prasidatam me bhagavan satampati. The last word is satampati. Satam means who has taken shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, who are following the Sat, the eternity, the absolute truth. And Lord is Pati, protector of them. So one who wants to get liberated from this material world, he has to take shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, who is Satampati. So that's the summum bonum of this prayers that has been offered by Shukadeva Goswami. So we will stop it here and we'll have Aarti of the Lord. And if you have any question answer, after Aarti we can have a discussion while having prasada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki Jai. ग्रंथराज भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। थैंक यू सो मच।